Have you ever noticed how the most important moments between two people rarely announce themselves? They don't arrive loudly. They don't explain what they are. They simply appear, disguised as ordinary conversation. A question, a pause, a look that lingers just a second longer than necessary. And if you're not paying attention, they pass you by. Quietly, completely. There is a certain kind of man who reaches a point in life where everything becomes simpler. Not because life is easier, but because he finally stops complicating it. He speaks less, observes more. He doesn't chase every interaction or try to turn every moment into something meaningful. And yet, meaning seems to find him anyway, especially with women. What most men don't realize is that attraction, especially from a woman who carries emotional depth, rarely looks obvious. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it tests, softly, almost invisibly. And these tests are not designed to trap you. They are designed to feel you, to understand who you are beneath the surface. A woman who is drawn to a man, especially one who has lived, experienced, and settled into himself, doesn't rush. She doesn't reveal everything at once, because she is not just interested in how you look. She is interested in how you respond, how you carry yourself, how you exist in a moment that offers no pressure, no performance, no script. There is a quiet intelligence in the way she communicates. She doesn't ask direct questions about attraction. She doesn't say what she feels in a straight line. Instead, she circles around it. She places something small in front of you and watches, not your words, but your awareness. And this is where most men fail without even realizing it. They hear the question, but they don't feel the intention. They answer quickly, logically, almost automatically, and in doing so, they close a door they never even saw. Because the truth is, when a woman begins to feel something for you, she doesn't move forward blindly. She moves carefully, deliberately. She looks for signals, not signals of wealth, not signals of status, but signals of presence, of stability, of emotional clarity. And these signals are not proven through grand gestures. They are revealed in small moments, in how you respond when nothing's at stake, in how you hold a conversation when it could easily remain shallow, in whether you notice what is not being said. A mature man, a grounded man, understands something that younger men often miss, that attraction is not built in intensity. It is built in subtlety, in timing, in the space between words. He doesn't rush to fill silence. He allows it. He doesn't jump at every opportunity to impress. He lets things unfold. And because of that, he becomes different. Not louder, but clearer. Not more forceful, but more felt. And when a woman senses this, something shifts inside her. She becomes more attentive, more curious, but she still won't make it obvious, because part of her still protects herself. She doesn't want to feel exposed. She doesn't want to risk being misunderstood. So she does what women have always done. She asks, but not in the way you expect. Her questions are not about information. They are about energy. They are about understanding the emotional environment you live in. What kind of space surrounds you? What kind of man exists when no one is watching? And this is where awareness becomes everything. Because if you miss the meaning behind these moments, you don't just miss a signal. You miss a connection that was quietly forming. There is a reason why some men, even as they age, seem to attract attention without trying. It's not luck. It's not mystery. It's awareness. They see what others overlook. They feel what others ignore. And because of that, they respond differently. They don't treat every question the same. They don't assume every interaction is casual. They listen, not just to words, but to tone, timing, context. They notice when a question arrives slightly out of place, slightly more personal than expected, slightly more intentional than necessary. Because those are the moments that matter. the ones that don't look important but are, the ones that carry meaning without announcing it. A woman who feels nothing will keep things simple, surface level, predictable, safe. But a woman who feels something will begin to explore, gently. She'll step closer without appearing to move. She'll reach out without making it obvious. And the only way you recognize this is if you are present enough to see it, not distracted, not rushing, not lost in your own thoughts, but fully there, in the moment, with her. And this is where maturity becomes an advantage, not because of age itself, but because of what age can bring: perspective, patience, clarity. A man who has lived enough knows that not everything needs to be forced, that some things reveal themselves naturally if you are calm enough to notice them. And this calm, this steadiness, is exactly what a woman is searching for. Not perfection, not excitement, but consistency, emotional grounding, a sense that you are not easily shaken. Because when she feels that, she feels safe to open, not all at once, but gradually, layer by layer. And it always begins the same way, with something small, a question that seems ordinary, almost forgettable, but carries something deeper beneath it. And if you are aware, you will feel it, not as pressure, not as expectation, but as an invitation. An invitation to step forward, not physically, but emotionally, to show her, without saying it, that you understand, that you see her, that you are not just hearing, but truly listening. Because in the end, that is what separates one man from another. Not what he says, but what he notices. Not how he performs, but how he responds when the moment is quiet. And the man who understands this never needs obvious signals, because he has already learned how to see the invisible ones.
There is a moment, subtle, almost invisible, when curiosity begins to replace distance. It does not arrive with intensity. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels natural, like the conversation has quietly shifted without either of you announcing it. And if you are present enough, you will feel that shift, not in what she says, but in how she says it. There is a difference between a question asked to pass time and a question asked to understand you. One is light, forgettable. It disappears the moment it is answered. The other lingers. It carries weight, even if the words themselves seem simple. A woman who is beginning to feel something will not suddenly become obvious. She becomes intentional, more aware of her tone, more selective with her words, and most importantly, more precise in what she asks. Because at this point, she is no longer speaking randomly. She is observing, measuring, sensing. And what she is sensing is not your answers. It is your state, your emotional position in life, whether you are closed or open, whether you are settled or drifting, whether there is space for her or not. This is where everything becomes delicate, because the moment is not about saying the right thing. It is about revealing the truth in a way that carries stability, clarity, calm. Many men misunderstand this completely. They think attraction is built by saying impressive things, or by revealing achievements, or by showing value in obvious ways. But in these moments, none of that matters. What matters is how grounded you feel. A grounded man does not rush to answer. He allows a brief pause, not because he is unsure, but because he is present. He receives the question fully before responding, and this alone changes everything. Because most people do not listen, they react. They prepare their answer before the other person finishes speaking. But a man who truly listens creates a different atmosphere, an atmosphere where she feels noticed, not just heard, but understood. And this is where her curiosity deepens. She begins to lean in emotionally, not physically, not obviously, but internally. She becomes more invested in the interaction, more attentive to your responses, more aware of how you carry yourself. And this is the point where her questions begin to reveal more, not in complexity, but in intention. She may ask something simple, something that sounds casual, but the timing will feel different. The tone will feel softer, more focused, because now she is not just talking to you, she is exploring you, trying to understand what kind of man you are when things are not scripted, when there is no pressure, when the moment is quiet. And this is where many men lose the opportunity without realizing it. They answer too quickly, too casually, as if the moment holds no weight, as if it is just another conversation. But it is not. It is a window, and windows do not stay open forever. A woman does not repeatedly test the same space. If she reaches once and finds nothing, she withdraws. Not dramatically, not emotionally, but silently. She simply returns to distance. And the man often never knows. He walks away thinking nothing happened, while she walks away knowing everything she needed to know. Because what she is looking for is not perfection, it is alignment, a sense that you are in control of your own life, that you are not searching, but choosing, that your presence is not dependent, but steady. There is something deeply attractive about a man who knows where he stands, not in a loud way, not in a rigid way, but in a quiet certainty, a calm understanding of himself. And this certainty shows in the smallest details, in how he speaks, in how he pauses, in how he responds to something unexpected, because real confidence is not performed, it is felt. A woman can sense when a man is unsure, even if his words sound confident, and she can sense when a man is grounded, even if he says very little, because the body does not lie, energy does not lie, presence does not lie. This is why her questions matter, not because of what they ask directly, but because of what they reveal indirectly. They reveal whether you are aware, whether you are present, whether you understand the moment you are in. And understanding the moment is everything, because attraction is not built over time alone. It is built in specific moments, moments where something could happen if it is recognized. A man who recognizes these moments does not need to force anything. He does not need to chase. He does not need to convince, because his awareness does the work for him. He responds in a way that feels natural, unforced, but intentional. And this intention creates a feeling that something is developing, even if nothing has been said directly. This is the difference between interaction and connection. Interaction is surface level. It comes and goes. Connection stays. It leaves an impression, a memory, a feeling that lingers long after the conversation ends. And the truth is, most people never reach that level because they are too distracted, too rushed, too focused on themselves. But the man who slows down, who pays attention, who notices the shift in tone, the change in rhythm, becomes rare. And rarity is attractive. Because when a woman feels that she is being met, not just spoken to, but truly met, something inside her softens. Her guard lowers slightly, her curiosity deepens, and from there, everything begins to change. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but quietly, like a door opening just enough to let something new begin.
There comes a point, quiet, almost unnoticeable, where everything is decided. Not through words, not through effort, but through feeling. A feeling that settles between two people and either grows or disappears. A woman does not always remember what was said, but she always remembers how she felt. In your presence, in your silence, in the way you responded when nothing demanded a response. And this is where most men misunderstand the final piece. They believe attraction is something to win, something to secure, something to push forward. But the truth is, the more you try to force it, the more it slips away. Because what she is looking for is not pressure,
It is ease. Not intensity, but clarity. Not performance, but presence. There is a certain calm that only comes from a man who no longer feels the need to prove anything. He does not rush moments. He does not chase outcomes. He does not try to turn every interaction into something more. He allows things to unfold, naturally. And in that allowance, something powerful happens. The space becomes real, unforced, alive. She begins to feel, not managed, but met. Not impressed, but understood. Not pursued, but chosen. And being chosen is very different from being chased, because chasing creates pressure, but choosing creates value. It says, without words, I see you, and I am here because I want to be. Not because I need something, not because I am trying to fill a void, but because I recognize something worth my attention. And that recognition is what deepens everything. It shifts the dynamic completely. Because now she is no longer wondering if you are interested. She is wondering how deep your interest goes. There is a quiet power in restraint, in not saying everything at once, in not revealing every thought immediately, in allowing space for curiosity to grow. A man who understands this does not over-explain. He does not overshare. He speaks with intention and leaves room for her to step closer. Because closeness is not created by force, it is invited. And invitation requires space. This is why timing matters, why presence matters, why awareness is everything. Because the moment she leans in, even slightly, you must feel it. Not analyze it, not question it, but feel it. And when you do, your response becomes natural, unforced, aligned. You don't say too much, you don't say too little. You simply meet her where she is. And this creates trust. Not the kind of trust built over time, but the kind that appears instantly. A sense that you understand something deeper, something unspoken. And once that trust appears, everything becomes easier. The conversation flows, the energy settles, the tension becomes comfortable, not awkward, not uncertain, but quietly alive. There is no need to rush forward, no need to define anything, because the connection is already felt. And when something is felt, it does not need to be explained. This is the difference between a moment that fades and a moment that stays. The man who pushes creates resistance. The man who allows creates space. And in that space, something real can grow. A woman does not open fully in an instant. She unfolds, layer by layer, moment by moment, and every layer depends on how you handle the one before it. If you rush, she closes. If you hesitate too much, she drifts. But if you remain steady, present, aware, she continues. This continuation is subtle but powerful, because now she is no longer testing, she is experiencing, feeling what it would be like to be close to you, to exist in your space, to share moments without tension. And in these moments, your energy speaks louder than anything else. Your calm, your stillness, your ability to remain grounded without needing control. Because control is not attractive, stability is. The ability to stay centered regardless of what happens, to remain composed without becoming distant, to remain open without becoming needy. This balance is rare, and rarity creates attraction, not because it is special, but because it is real. A man who has found this balance does not fear losing the moment, because he understands something deeper, that what is meant to grow will grow, and what is not will fall away. This understanding removes pressure, removes urgency, removes the need to grasp, and replaces it with something else, something quieter. Confidence. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but internal, stable, unshaken. And this kind of confidence cannot be faked. It is felt instantly, in the way you hold eye contact, in the way you pause before speaking, in the way you remain comfortable even in silence, because silence is where truth lives, where masks fall, where energy becomes visible. And if you can sit in that silence without discomfort, without rushing to fill it, you show something very few men can show, that you are at ease with yourself. And a man who is at ease with himself creates ease in others, especially in a woman who is quietly deciding whether to step closer. Because in the end, that is all it comes down to, a decision. Not forced, not spoken, but felt. Does she feel safe enough to open? Does she feel curious enough to continue? Does she feel something that makes her stay just a little longer? And all of that is shaped in moments that seem small, but are not. Moments where you either notice or you don't. The man who notices does not need obvious signs. He does not need clear signals, because he has already learned how to feel what others miss. And that is where everything changes. Not in what you do, but in how you are. Because when your presence becomes clear, steady, real, you stop searching for connection, and connection starts finding you.